The Mid-Sodor Railway, Season 4, Episode 11. Smudgers Trouble with Coaches. While Duke was at the works getting repaired, Smudger was sent to do his jobs. He had been doing a lot of hard work recently, doing twice the amount of work he had been doing for a couple of weeks now, so he was getting 2 days of supplies instead of 1 day of supply for the people that were near the railway. However, he had not, because of him pulling goods trains, he had not pulled coaches in a decade or so. So when he was asked to do the work while Duke was getting repaired, he was rather nervous. "Oh dear, I don't know how I'm going to do this when I haven't pulled coaches in decades," he said. "Bah," said Falcon, "you pull them a lot back on the old line." "You're correct there, Falcon, but just because I pull them a lot on the old line does not mean I'm going to be able to do it on this line." "Go on, Smudger, you can do it. It's not as if it's your first time pulling coaches." "Well, it certainly feels like it's my first time," said Smudger. "Okay, it's your first time pulling coaches then," said Falcon. "It's not," said Smudger. "Now stop complaining, or I'll push you into the sea like how you did on your first day," said Smudger. "Weren't you not there for that crash?" said Falcon. "You're correct, but Duke told me. Now if you excuse me, I have to get back to doing Duke's passengers. You weren't even doing it." "Oh dear," said Smudger. He steamed away from Arsdale and carried on to Gordon Edwards Station. "Oh dear," he said. "Why does Falcon always have to be in a grumpy mood?" He soon came to a stop, but he was still very nervous. He was bumping the coaches about. He had forgotten how to handle coaches. It had been so long, he was no longer used to pulling coaches. He was more used to pulling trucks. Just then, Alfred came up. "Hello, Smudger," said Alfred. "Oh, hello, Alfred," said Smudger. "What's going on? You don't seem, well, happy." "Well, I'm not. I'm more nervous." "And why's that?" said Alfred. "I've not pulled coaches in over a decade." I'm assuming you're no longer used to the coaches, so you are worried that something bad will happen, correct?" "How true, and that's what I was going to say," said Smudger. "I remember the first time I pulled coaches," said Alfred. "I was terrified. I had never pulled coaches before, but I decided to push through on pulling them. It was a hard job because I wanted to let go of the coaches and just go back to my old work, but I carried on pulling the coaches, and I pulled them to everywhere they needed to go, and I finally got them to the location, and I was glad to go back to my old work, but I was okay pulling coaches from time to time. So just try, and I'll do it," said Smudger. "That's right, you can do it, Smudger. While you've had your big rivalries with number 2 in the past, you are the only number 2 left, apart from Atlas. He's the number 2 of the mines, so he doesn't really matter that much. But you are the number 2 of this railway. Go, Smudger, you are able to do it," said Alfred. "I can do it. I will do it," said Smudger. That's the attitude," said Alfred. So Smudger reached steam confidently steamed out of the station. "I am going to do it. I will do it. I am going to do it. I will do it. I am going to do it. I will do it," he puffed. He came to a stop at the picnic area. He almost forgot to say, I'll be back by tea time. You don't want to miss the train. and otherwise you'll be late for your boat, and I will never do. He almost forgot to say it, but he said it, and the passengers got off and had their picnic as Smudger steamed away. I wish I could stay, he said, but I gotta do my job, He steamed by the mountain road and soon reached up to Sid Road. Stewart was there, and he was shocked seeing Smudger pull without the coaches without difficulty. I would have thought you were not used to the coaches anymore, said Stewart. Oh, don't worry, said Smudger. Just because I'm not used to the coaches anymore does not mean I can really learn them. Well, I'm still not used to them again, but, well, Alfred helped me get back used to them. Well, he tried to help, and I'm getting back used to them now. Oh, that's good for you then, said Stewart, as he saw Smudger confidently steam out of Ulfstead Road. As Smudger kept on pulling the train for days, he eventually even got his own train onto the train, where he pulled his goods train, where he'd be putting his goods train with the coaches. Atlas and the other engines were especially shocked with how easily Smudger was pulling them. He's pulling those coaches marvellously, said Atlas. He must be having a blast. Shouldn't he not be used to the coaches if he hasn't pulled them in over a decade? Well, said Alfred, I have my ways. The passengers never really minded if Smudger was accidentally bumped them about. They knew that, well, most of them knew that he was still getting back into the swing of things on pulling coaches. However, he pulled the coaches marvellously, and Jordan Edwards even said he'd be happy to have him do Duke's jobs even more when he had to go to the works. While Smudger did enjoy pulling coaches, he always much rather to pull the trucks. A couple of days later, Duke had arrived back at the sheds. He had been at the works for a couple of weeks and was happy to arrive back at his own shed. I've heard you've been doing my jobs, Smudger, said Duke. Yes, but I couldn't have done them without the help of Alfred. If he hadn't helped me with the coaches, I would probably have been awful at the job. Hey, at least you were able to do it. I'll have to say hello to Stanley in the morning. Yes, I'm sure he'll be happy to see you. Wait, why didn't you call in number 2, Dookie? Oh, right, it doesn't matter that much. I'm tired. Let's get some sleep, shall we? Said Duke. All right, said Smudger. Well, time to go to Castley Hall then. With the mine engines, isn't that right? Said Smudger. Yes, it is, said the mine engines. Good night, Duke, said Smudger. Good night, Smudger. Good night, everyone, said Duke. Good night, they all said. That night, all the engines happily went to sleep, including Stanley, who, well, he was told that Duke had returned to the railway, as Stewart and Falcon told him that. Duke was happy to be back. The mine engines were happy for Duke to be back along with everyone else. But Smudger was the happiest of them all, of doing hard work for Duke and for Duke returning, and that night he was the happiest thing that went to sleep that night.